Yeah, it's Wrestling Uncensored tonight. We talk about night one of the WWE Draft on Smackdown. CM Punk was backstage at WWE Raw, and a new WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Yes, indeed. Johnny, how are you?
Well, it was better before we had 3 world heavyweight champions in WWE, but apparently we need that for whatever stupid reason. But that's what we have.
Tell me about it. You don't like it?
I think it's terrible. Why? You already have the guy, the world champion, the guy who's main evented most of your pay-per-views for the last, how many years now? Yet we have to have, a little, prize for someone who can't beat the champion. We'll have that championship. And that's going to be a world champion? To me, it's a joke. It's terrible. It was a bad move.
I agree.
Okay, well, there we go. Good show.
I don't think it was a great move. Making a new championship, I can't argue with you. It's a consolation prize, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And it's terrible now too. Now you see Roman got drafted to SmackDown and Cody got drafted to Raw. So clearly, no matter what happens now, Cody's going to go after that new world title. And it's nice if Cody wins it. It's good for him that he considers himself a world champion in WWE. If it happens, that's awesome for him. But it's just, that's not the whole finish the story. That's not how it should have gone for him. To beat the champion, Roman Reigns. Fine, he didn't have WrestleMania, but no, I'm going to win another title that is considered a world title. It's really a huge step down for him. It's too bad that they don't consider him the guy or really just a true champion. Whoever becomes the world champion on Raw is not a true champion. It's just the champion that's not Roman Reigns. It's disappointing.
Yeah. And, it's a way for them to have a champion on Raw that isn't Roman. It's a way for them to have a champion of sorts, but whoever it is he really the champion? Is anybody going to look at that guy as, oh, he's the champion of WWE? I think Roman Reigns has just kind of been at the top for so long, like you said, that everybody just sees him as the top guy. And you can have another belt, but it doesn't really mean anything. Right?
Not completely. 100%. It'd be nice for a guy like Cody to win it. Even, Seth Franklin. Because he never actually lost to Roman, so it'll be nice for him, and he's always been pushing for having a champion always on the show, and that's great and everything, but there's a reason we have the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title. There's a reason for that. Those titles actually mean something too, and they can be defended almost every week as well. We don't need a world heavyweight champion, which is a huge step down from the actual champion. Roman Reigns is the guy who's going to be main eventing all your big shows. The world heavyweight champion is just that semi-main event, if that. Like, it's not even close to what it should be. Like, if anything, because it doesn't have the history, I would put a lot of the mid-card titles over that world title.
Yeah, like the Intercontinental Championship, especially now that Gunther has moved over to Raw, right?
Yep.
Gunther gets drafted to Raw tonight on SmackDown. They did night 1 of the draft. We'll get into draft results and all that, but Gunther got drafted to Raw. He's the Intercontinental Champion. Like, say Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes or one of those guys becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion, right? It's World Heavyweight Champion, that's what they're calling it?
World Heavyweight, yeah. I mean, it looks like the old big gold belt, really. It's just they put the WWE logo in the middle of it.
Yeah. And whoever wins that belt will not have held it as long as Gunther has held the Intercontinental Championship. Because Gunther is going on couple hundred days or whatever, right? Almost a year?
Right. Close to a year. It'll be a year and a couple months, I think.
There you go. And he is impressive, and he's over enough. I think he's about as over as a lot of guys. Maybe not quite the level of Seth or Cody, but once Gunther moves over to Raw and he's walking around with the Intercontinental Championship, I think he means more than whoever's the World Heavyweight Champion. They may not treat him as though he does, but I think in a lot of fans' eyes he's going to mean more, and that championship is going to mean more. It's like a secondary thing. And who are they even going to have to feud with over the title? Who do they even have on Raw to use for this belt? I just said the two guys, Cody and Seth. Anybody else? I mean, who did they get even in the draft that could kind of spice the show up?
I guess Drew
McIntyre.
I mean, it's still early. Like, we aren't through this whole draft. Like, there'll be a post-draft thing afterwards too, right? After Backlash, so.
Yeah, but the significant players have already been kind of 50% is done.
If Raw can get like a Braun Breaker, that could be big for them, I think.
It might help. But again, you look at the landscape of WWE, how many legit main eventers do they have?
Oh, not many.
Right.
Not many at all.
Right. I mean, Kevin and Sammy are main event guys, but they're in a tag team right now. Cody,
that's going to be interesting how that
Seth,
works out.
But, like, who else? You know, Bobby Lashley is kind of a main event guy. They just moved him over to SmackDown. AJ Styles came back tonight. His whole group is on SmackDown, drafted as a group with Anderson and Gallows and Michin.
That's good, though. Them against the Bloodline, like, that could be fantastic. I really want to see that. Roman versus AJ. Yeah, let's do that, actually, yes.
Yeah, they could do that. It's not terrible. Nakamura got drafted over to Raw. Is there a chance that he gets elevated and they start to do more stuff with him and maybe he becomes a main eventer again? He's definitely got the capacity to be there, right?
Yeah, I would give it a shot. I mean, Raw's so long and he already had like an IC title feud that didn't really go anywhere, so might as well just throw him in there, I guess.
I guess. But they just don't have that many main eventers. So to create another main event title is kind of like, why? Roman's been fine as champion. I think most wrestling fans, if you ask them, one champion is what they want. There's got to be a business reason behind that. Like they want a champion on each show, or there's been talk of doing, you know, Raw only and SmackDown only pay-per-views or premium live events. So maybe they need champions for that.
Bad.
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea.
I know.
These are bad ideas that are happening.
These are rumors
right now
that are out
our eyes.
there. It's just rumors.
Yeah, but we got a new world title, so I mean, bad things are happening already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there was any need for this new world title, and I think most people are in agreement with that. Shout out to Fred Garcia in the chat, my main man Fred, watching the
Fred
show.
watched the draft. That's good.
He says the only way this new title makes sense is if Roman wins it and retires the other 2 belts. I mean, that's an idea that's been floated around too.
I mean, they're not just going to make a new title just for Roman to retire right away. I wish they would, but they won't do that. This is just the title that Roman doesn't have, and he won't be on Raw, so we need a world champion idea. But I feel like this is like a passe kind of thing. Like, we don't need that anymore. Just one champion for all of WWE. That's it. One world champion. We don't need this Raw gets the title, SmackDown gets the title. We don't need that anymore. We've moved on. They haven't, though.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm seeing stuff in the chat. Derek John, shout out Derek John, member of the team. Go to join.ringsidereport.net like Derek has. I'm seeing some sort of issue with Brian. I don't know what the issue is, Brian, but you got to deal with the staff behind the show. It's not a me issue. So we'll email you, Brian. Apparently, the team is going to deal with you, and I don't know. It's not. I don't know. I don't know. Right. There's a lot of things that go on the Ringside Report Network, and I'm just kind of trying to scroll through the chat and see what's going on, and I see there's some sort of issue. So hopefully we can get it resolved. Hopefully we can get it
AJ shenanigans?
No, I don't think it's AJ. No? I don't think it's AJ.
Okay.
No, we can't blame AJ for everything as much as we'd like to. Shout out to Chris Topsy, who I think is a friend of yours, John. I think, right?
Yeah, he called into the show one time way back in the day. If you remember correctly, yeah. You talked to him.
Cool. Well, shout out to you, Chris Topsy. I've been seeing you on Twitter. Ryan Katz, of course, a regular Trans Am. Fred Garcia up past his bedtime. I wonder why, Fred. I think maybe the same reason why I'm awake tonight. Yeah.
You had to watch the draft. It's important.
Exactly. He had to watch the draft. He says, let's blame AJ. He agrees. Fred wants to blame AJ. We all love it. Surprised AJ's not watching.
AJ's got to get his bedtime. It's good.
You got to blame AJ for everything. I was doing jiu-jitsu with Fred today. Fred had knee surgery like 6-7 weeks ago now. Guy's back in full form. Tremendous.
Nice.
Fred is an animal.
Fantastic.
Shout out to Fred. Shout out to 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. Huh? Yeah, he beat me up today. Fred's a killer. That was good. It was a good time. Okay. Yeah, I'm very disappointed with this new championship. Who do you think's going to win it?
I mean, I think Cody's the front runner right now. He's the number 1 draft choice of Raw.
That's such a bad move, though. It's so bad. It's like, well, you didn't beat Roman, so you get this.
It's terrible. Yeah.
It's awful.
It's not good. But, I mean, he's the top guy on Raw. It makes sense. And if he's the number 1 draft choice, he has to be in the title match, I think.
Number 1 draft choice for Raw. The number 1 draft pick overall was, of course, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman. Apparently, Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman just come with Roman Reigns. The Usos do not come with Roman Reigns, but Solo and Heyman and Roman all drafted together as the number 1 overall pick to SmackDown. And that opened the show with Triple H, the Game. And we had various luminaries throughout the show doing draft picks, which, we'll get to here in a minute.
We don't know who actually picks, though. It just says SmackDown picks, Raw picks, but no actual people behind the picks.
No. And this has been the case for a long time now. At least it wasn't just Adam Pearce coming out over and over again like last year, right?
That's true. Yeah, it was improvement, yeah.
Because last year was worse, because last year was like, well, Adam Pearce seems to run Raw and SmackDown, and he's making draft picks. Like, what?
Yeah.
What's the point? Who's usually a draft pick? It's like there's one team and then another team, but if nobody is the captain of the team, what's the point? Is there a real team? Who's running SmackDown? Who's running Raw? It's still not apparent. The draft is a weird thing at this point. It's just, I mean, it's not, they shouldn't even call it a draft anymore. because they're just telling us who's going to be on what show going forward for the next year-ish. Right?
Yeah, pretty much, sadly.
Yeah, it's not a good concept. It was a good
was
concept
worse.
when you had like Stephanie McMahon, who was the figurehead of SmackDown, and Eric Bischoff, who ran Raw, and on TV they really ran those shows, and then they had a draft. It was like, yeah, okay, this makes sense.
Against Vince.
Yeah, sure. It didn't matter. Teddy Long and John Laurinaitis. You know what I mean? It didn't have to be the best of the best. As long as you had a representative from each show, the draft made sense.
Yeah.
You know?
And last year it was like, oh, Raw gets 3 picks, SmackDown gets 1 pick because of the time issue. It was like, well, this looks ridiculous.
Right. Well, even tonight, it was like, why did SmackDown just get... How come they could pick Solo and Heyman and Roman as a group? How come they get that?
Well,
how come you get AJ Styles? You also get the Good Brothers and Michin. What?
That was the rules. You could pick a faction, or you can just pick individuals.
So why wouldn't SmackDown also take the Usos?
They aren't involved in that. They're only available Monday, apparently.
Who decided this?
Well, whoever decided this, I don't know who decided this. The magical figures that decided this, you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, what are these arbitrary rules? Well, it's just the rules. It's gonna change WWE forever. It really has it changed WWE forever? I don't think it's changed WWE at all. It feels like exactly the same. It was funny. I was watching this draft, and we should get into it just because it's so ridiculous. Even though, like, I don't think Cody should be the champion. I really don't, because I think it would be bad for Cody. I think it shouldn't be Seth either, because it's just too obvious. I think the champion should be Finn Balor.
Interesting. Okay.
He's part of a big group.
Yeah.
They're all doing big things. He hasn't really done much. Say it again?
Yeah. They're probably going to Raw. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but they're probably going to Raw.
Well, dude, Bianca Belair just got drafted to SmackDown. She's calling herself the SmackDown Women's Champion, even though she's not. You know?
Yeah. Well, because you could tell, like, that promo that she did, like, they probably told her, like, very late, like, oh, you just got drafted. We need to cut a promo, like, right away kind of thing. So just took her cell phone and just did it like that. And they didn't really have much time to go over the lines and everything. So
she said
that's
SmackDown Women's Champion like 6 times. She's like, I'm SmackDown Women's Champion. I can't wait to be your SmackDown Women's Champion and defend my belt that I already have. And I'm like, well, the problem is here, Bianca, is that you're the Raw Women's Champion. Rhea Ripley is the SmackDown Women's Champion. She hasn't been drafted yet to any show, and she's also wrestling Zelina Vega next week, who I think is still on SmackDown as far as we know. So it's not really clear that you're the SmackDown Women's Champion there, Bianca. But, you know, whatever. That was bad, man. That was an error. They should not have aired that promo. Could they not have filled that time in another way? They really should not have aired that Bianca Belair promo because it made no sense given the facts.
Right. No, I agree with you, but regardless, though, like, I didn't think that she was going to lose at Backlash or anything like that. Like, I had a feeling, like, for sure she's going to be the champ anyway.
How about not spoiling it beforehand?
That'd be nice, yeah. Yeah, but I mean... Everyone knows, so why not?
Yeah, sure, but shit, man. And, like, who's to say that Rhea Ripley isn't going to get drafted to SmackDown and Rhea and Bianca will have to wrestle for the undisputed title? Like, how come they can't, you know...
That'd be a good thing. They don't do good things. We won't get that.
Like, even though we're not going to get that, tease other possibilities. So that when the thing that happens, which is they just switch belts, It's like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
they're doing that. Instead of, yeah, okay, can we get it over with already and do it? Because we know Bianca told us they were going to do it, right? And that's what WWE's
Right.
problem is. Instead of making us go at every turn, oh, okay, they're doing that. And every step of the way, you're like, can we get to the thing where you do the thing already? We know what you're doing. We know what's going to happen. Can we just get to the point, right?
So we got to get through the Backlash first.
And they do that because the little details, the little things like that, like Bianca Belair's little promo, they just don't think it through, and they make errors in storytelling. And for the viewer, it's really hard to enjoy when you just kind of, you don't give us anything where we go, yeah, everything you give us is like, come on already. It's slow. It's slow and obvious. You know, like, it's not only that we know what the ending is, it's that it takes forever to get there. And it's like, dude, you're not fooling anybody. Just give us the point, you know? It's a pain, man. It's a slog to get through sometimes when they do stuff like that to me. And it's like just little details where I'm like, it didn't have to be this bad, guys. It could have been a little better. You know? Like, they didn't have to air the promo, but they did. And it's like, come on. Step your game up.
Well, their thinking is like, oh, we got to get her on television. We got to get her much exposure. Like, there's going to be a new audience for her because she's always on Raw. So we got to put her over as the SmackDown champion now. And, you know, they didn't really put a lot of thought into it, which is a huge problem on their part because she hasn't lost the title yet or hasn't. And this is the worst part, that they're going to just, like, trade the titles back and forth like that. They've already done it recently, too. And then they're going to do it again. Like, Rhea just won the SmackDown Women's title. She's finally going to defend it once. And then she's going to, like, trade it for the Raw title right away. It's ridiculous. And you're making a new title at the same time? Like, this is the worst way to start the draft, in my opinion. This whole week has been terrible for WWE. Just bad decision after bad decision.
I bet you when they do it, too, they do like a worked version of the Charlotte Becky thing where one of them will drop the belt and kind of look at the other, you know?
Yeah, Rhea could do that. That actually makes sense, though. Rhea would drop it and there'd be a look, whatever.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad.
I could believe it with them. Yeah. With Charlotte, though, that was just terrible.
Well, because it was real. It's like, uh-oh. What's happening? Yeah. So Triple H came out to start the show to do the draft thing. He says NXT people are eligible. Certain NXT people. Roman, Heyman, and Solo get drafted together to SmackDown, so they stay on SmackDown. And then he says, oh, and see, this is what I'm talking about by stating the obvious, right? On Raw, when he presented this new belt, you knew it was going to be the new Raw belt, right? That's the Raw Championship, because Roman's not leaving SmackDown, because SmackDown's the A show, because it's on Fox. It's on Fox, network TV, not cable, so it's got more eyeballs. It's the A show. So Roman, as the top star, as the world champion, as the undisputed whatever, he's staying on SmackDown. That was clear. So this new belt was a Raw belt. So Roman, Heyman, and Solo, first off, at least they didn't, make us wait. It made sense because Roman has to be drafted first overall, right? So he's drafted to SmackDown. And then Triple H is like, well, that means that this new belt is exclusive to Raw. And it's like, yeah, we know. We know. Like, it's just they make it too obvious. Everything's too obvious. And then Cody Rhodes immediately is drafted to Raw, so he remains on Raw. So right off the bat, the first two draft picks mean nothing. It's just, these guys, the two top stars in the company, they're staying where they are. Okay, draft over. Let's all go home. You know what I'm saying? Like,
pretty much. Like,
they're the two top guys in the whole thing, and they just told you at the top of the show, nothing's changing. A second ago, he's like, this will shake WWE, and then seconds later, he's telling us the two top guys in the whole world are not moving. Cool.
Yeah. No, I get you. Like, to me, that's the top thing. But they also, like you said, they have to say it right away. And I think with them, they just feel that the other players that they bring up, like, oh, these ones are going to be game changers. Like Drew McIntyre, that's going to change a lot of things. Matt Riddle, staying on Raw, like he's going to be a bigger deal now. And I could see it. Matt Riddle might go for that new world heavyweight title. They'll push guys like that. Like the guys who got drafted tonight, they're really going to make a big deal out of them that went to Raw.
Randy Orton would be a legit champion. He'd legitimize that belt if he can come back.
I'd like to see him on SmackDown, to be honest, against Roman. That'd be better, but
yeah, I would prefer that too. But like, if you want to make the belt mean something off the bat, putting it on a guy like Randy wouldn't be a bad idea. Putting it on a guy like Cody wouldn't be a bad idea, but I think a lot of people would see it as like a kind of a step down. Like, well, you'll never beat Roman. You'll never be the real guy, but you could be the kind of secondary guy.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah. And for Seth, too. Because Seth and Roman were in the Shield, and Seth was the guy at one point, and Seth winning the secondary belt is telling Seth, like, Roman's the guy, but you're like the second guy, which everybody always assumed anyways.
Right, but Seth said on Raw he wants that title, so if he wants it, give it to him.
But he's like not great,
He's over enough. It could work, and he has that thing that he actually beat Roman by disqualification. So, I mean, it's not unheard of to be like, yeah, he's kind of a world champion because he was the guy that never lost to Roman. So, I could somewhat believe that. It's still not the champion, but a decent substitute, I think, if it was Seth.
I don't know. I'm not for Seth as a top champion on Raw. I think we need something different.
Well, hopefully we do. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I want to see something different too, but the options are very limited, like you said, though, on Raw.
Triple H was saying, it's not going to be a part-time champion. I think it'd be funny if they just made Brock champion. Brock's like, oh, yeah? It will be a part-time champion. How about that? Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that, to be honest. Brock would be a great first champion.
That's what I'm saying. He'd be a great first champion. But Finn Balor, I think, wouldn't be a bad move. And wasn't he the first Universal Champion, too?
He was, but it only lasted that one match with Seth, and then he destroyed his shoulder.
Yeah. So. Still, though. First Universal Champion, first World Heavyweight Champion. This new belt. I don't know. I think that Finn could work as the champion. But yeah, Derek John says his money is on Seth. I think Seth or Cody, probably the safest bets. And it's going to be what? Saudi Arabia, May 26th, Night of Champions, when they'll crown a champion. Right?
That's
the new
right.
belt will be crowned at Night of Champions. But we don't know how you get a shot, like who's in the mix or anything. We don't know any of it.
Well, I'd expect a tournament after Backlash. Makes sense.
Seth beating Cody for the belt makes a lot of sense, too. Seth's revenge. Okay, Raw lost Bianca Belair, but kept Becky Lynch, who remains on Raw. Other draft picks.
So you expect Seth is probably going to stay on Raw because of that, right? Like Seth didn't get drafted. Seth didn't get drafted tonight, but because Becky got drafted to Raw, I'd highly expect Seth's going to get drafted, right?
Oh yeah, Seth is for sure staying on Raw. I mean, we're talking about him being the Raw champion. I'd be shocked if he left Raw. Bianca Belair went to SmackDown, and of course, her husband Montez Ford and the Street Profits, they also went to SmackDown. They got drafted over from Raw. So that made a lot of sense. Who else got drafted here? Imperium, like I mentioned, got drafted to Raw. Edge got drafted to SmackDown.
Wow. Whatever, really. Like, Edge kind of just shows up whenever he wants kind of thing. So, I mean, I guess they have some ideas for guys on SmackDown mainly, but what, he's going to wrestle 2 or 3 times a year at most?
I don't know. I don't know what you do with Edge on SmackDown. I wonder what the plan is for Edge on SmackDown. Like, why? Why did they move him?
I wouldn't mind him and AJ, but it's been done before. You know, Roman's been done before.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things have been done already with him on SmackDown, so they really
Yeah.
got to be creative on that one.
That was a weird move to me. I don't know. Bobby Lashley got drafted to SmackDown. I guess you could do Edge and Bobby Lashley, but, you know, I'd rather not.
Me too.
I have no need for that. Drew McIntyre got drafted over to Raw. That'll be a big change for him. Shinsuke Nakamura over to Raw. Damage Control, Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai all moving over to SmackDown, which I don't love because they've been feuding with Bianca so much, and now they just move over to SmackDown and continue what they've been doing on Raw.
Well, yeah, but now Bayley will be there with Michael Cole, and people love that a lot, so.
Yeah, but what about, you know, the rest of the thing? You know, like the main stuff, the wrestling.
Well, the women's championships, tag titles, they still are on both shows, no? So they'll be able to do whatever they want. So, I mean, just because there's so loopholes to this whole Raw SmackDown like brand split. The tag titles for men and women's, because we still have undisputed tag champs. Yeah, for now.
But they're not the women's tag champs, the Damage Control. So doesn't apply for them.
Challenge for them.
Yeah, they could challenge for them, but I think they'd probably have to do it on SmackDown or a pay-per-view. But they'll probably go over to
as of now
Raw if they have to. But Liv Morgan and Raquel are the champions, right? And they're SmackDown.
They're SmackDown. Yeah.
At this point. But maybe
at this
Raw.
Point, yeah.
Because the rest of the draft will happen on Raw. They called up 2 people. They showed them, and I had no idea who they were. They're from NXT. They're going over to SmackDown. They're the women's tag team champions, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Who?
I watched them on a takeover one time. Not a takeover, just one of the NXT premium live events. And they wrestled each other. It was like some sort of big feud they were having. And now, out of nowhere, I guess they decided to team up. And they became tag champs. And then they draft the tag champs. And then they decided to have a little feud thing, challenge. And now they're going to have to wrestle on Tuesday and clearly lose their titles, which is obviously going to happen. But they're not bad. They're pretty. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're both from the UK.
I think they said both from Scotland. So.
Well, I remember Fire was like the NXT like UK women's champion for like a long period of time.
Okay. She was? Did she have a different name?
Yeah. Yeah, it was something else. I can't remember exactly.
Oh, okay. I think I know who you're talking about. She looked familiar, but the name was different, so I was like, maybe that's not that. Kaylee Ray.
That's it. Yeah, that was her name used to be. Yeah, but then they changed it because of NXT 2.0. Everyone had name changes.
They changed her name to Alba Fire. Ugh. Yeah, she's been UK champion forever. Well, she was, right? Kaylee Ray? I've seen her before. Okay, I know who she is.
She was, yeah.
I don't know her tag team partner, but I do know Kaylee Ray. So, yeah, that makes sense that she gets called up to SmackDown. Okay. And Indy Hartwell, I know too. I've been seeing her for a long time. She's all right. She's the NXT Women's Champion, and she got called up to Raw. But her foot was in like a boot. Is that a shoot injury or a work injury?
That was a shoot thing that happened on like I think their last like premium live event that happened. What was it, last weekend or something? Yeah, she's like legit hurt. They still managed to work it out where she walked out with the title, but yeah, like I don't think she's gonna wrestle right away, and she's probably just gonna forfeit the title because I don't think she can wrestle.
Well, that's not good, right?
Yeah, but I think that they just wanted to bring her to Raw because, like in kayfabe, she's married to Dexter Lumis, and she was in that faction with Gargano
Oh.
and Lumis.
Oh,
So I
no.
think it's just to complete that thing. Yeah.
Oh, no. We're going to see more of that on Raw?
Oh yeah, a
Ooh.
hell of a lot more of that.
Johnny Gargano comedy skits?
I wouldn't call it comedy. I would just call it bad television. But yeah, we're gonna see a
Okay.
lot of that, I think.
Well, I mean, it's not funny, so I guess you're right. Ugh. Well, that's disappointing. More disappointment from the WWE. What did you think of SmackDown overall outside of the draft?
I thought some matches were okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but unfortunately, your attention is taken away because you're just waiting for those draft picks. You wait for something exciting to happen. I thought it was
Yeah.
cool to see RVD. RVD looked like he was in great shape. It was like, man, I hope RVD can still wrestle. Like, I like to see him in the ring.
Yeah.
Everyone else, I wasn't really impressed by. Like, I don't need to see Shawn Michaels ever on television ever again. But I have to sit through that, sadly.
I like seeing JBL and Teddy Long together.
Oh, that was all right. Yeah,
I
they
like
didn't
those
say
guys.
much though. Sadly,
Who?
they didn't say
much,
too
yeah.
much though. Yeah.
I like them, though. I know they have a history together. I like those guys. Teddy Long and JBL. Those are some old school wrestling people, been around forever. So is Michael Hayes, right? My God, Michael Hayes out there with Rob Van Dam to do draft announcements. They even brought old Road Dogg out with Shawn Michaels to do the draft announcements. JBL and Teddy Long, too. Yeah, they had some people. I thought LA Knight and Butch had a pretty decent match. LA Knight beat Butch. I thought it was good. LA Knight, I think, is getting something. He's got some momentum behind him. People seem to like him. He's doing all right.
I could easily see him as the U.S. champion or IC champ, whatever title is gonna. I guess it's gonna be the U.S. title. I could see him be the U.S. champion on SmackDown, or if he goes to Raw, be the IC champion. I could see that happen too.
I don't see him beating Gunther, man. Not Gunther.
The way it's going with him, like they build him up properly, like they could pull it off. He's got a little momentum behind him.
We'll see. Street Profits beat Braun Strowman, Ricochet, and LWO in a triple threat. Montez hit a splash on Ricochet for the win. I didn't like the fact that the Street Profits won. Because, because here you have a match, kind of a high-profile match with 3 tag teams. You don't have a very deep tag team division, right?
Right.
Street Profits have already faced Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They faced them like 3 weeks ago on Raw, and they lost to them.
Yeah.
So why not, in this instance, elevate somebody else to potentially be a next challenger for Kevin and Sami in those tag team belts, instead of going back to the Street Profits, having them get this win, having them potentially be the next challengers for the tag team belts, and then lose because we've already been there, we've seen it, and it's not really that compelling. It's just, like, it's fine, but I thought Braun Strowman and Ricochet, or maybe even the LWO, could have used the win a little bit more. Because Street Profits, they just kind of get random wins here and there on TV, but they don't ever amount to much. They're just kind of there. And I think they're established enough as a tag team that you could have them lose here, and it wouldn't really hurt them.
Like I agree with your kind of thinking, but I believe their thinking is that in terms of like what team that we like the most, it's going to be the Street Profits, and it doesn't hurt them if they lost this match, but if of all the teams that they could highlight someone, they're going to highlight the Street Profits. It's much like that four-way tag at WrestleMania. Like it's just 4 teams, random, doesn't really mean much, but they see the Street Profits in terms of value as the most valuable tag team of all those 4. And again, of these teams, it's the same thing. Like it doesn't hurt the Profits to lose, but they'd rather them win than lose at this point. Even though they're not going to be champs.
The LWO have not won a single match. They've not won.
They never win.
They have not won since forming. Not once.
Right. And yet Zelina gets a title shot. Although Zelina won. There you go. Zelina won.
Zelina won. So but
yeah,
she was on her own. I mean, I don't know.
And she barely won too.
Yeah. Yeah. But I would have put the LWO over just to give them a win, damn it. Zelina did beat Sonya Deville, which was almost a surprise because Zelina really doesn't wrestle and certainly doesn't win, but here she was winning because she's got a Rhea Ripley title match coming up in Puerto Rico for Backlash. Rhea attacks Zelina after the match. Went to hit the Riptide, but Zelina countered with a DDT and escaped. So Zelina showing, oh, I can get you. And then Rey Mysterio gave her a bit of a pep talk backstage after the match. Yeah, this was whatever.
I know you and me are divided on this. You feel like it's good to give Zelina the title shot, and for me, it's the way it's been built. It just hasn't been built very well. Where one, you could ever believe she could win.
Yeah,
and I don't like the fact whatsoever. They're being like, oh, it's in her hometown. It's like Sami Zayn. It's not even close to Sami Zayn.
No.
Like Sami Zayn built up his history in Montreal, wrestling here in Montreal. Zelina's never wrestled in Puerto Rico. It's her first time ever. So you can't even compare the two. It's uncomparable. The fact that WWE does that is kind of insulting. And
I also think Sammy was born in like Montreal or Laval, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was exactly. It might be like you say Laval, but whatever. I mean,
yeah, but Sammy is born in Quebec. Let's say, right? I'm pretty sure he's born in Quebec.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Zelina was born in New York.
Yeah, well, she's
born in Queens, New York. That's her hometown. I mean, she's of Puerto Rican heritage, but I don't know.
Well, they put over. They said she's never wrestled there before.
So she's not born there. She's never wrestled there before. But, I mean, she is the only person of Puerto Rican descent on the women's roster, and they want to give Rhea Ripley a match, so Zelina Vega. It makes sense.
Okay, but again, like comparing it to Sami Zayn, like that's ridiculous. Like you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. It's not the same.
Well, why not? Trying to build a match here.
You're stretching it by huge miles here. That's WWE. They do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it's been built, like this is her first actual match in like how long? And she's getting a title shot already. Like she didn't have to earn it whatsoever. Just like, oh, because I want to wrestle there. I want the match, and they give her the match. And then this whole gimmick of her like, oh, I don't really believe in myself. If you don't believe in yourself, why should I believe in you?
Yeah. I mean, she's not going to win. It is what it is. She's the underdog baby face that they're going to try and, make people excited about.
I appreciate Rey Mysterio, what he did. Like, because he doesn't have to do stuff like that. But I thought what Rey did was very nice. But,
I think he had
what's
to.
happening.
I think he had to. It's his job. That's what he's paid for.
Yeah, but he did a really good job of it. Like he could have just done like a really crummy job of it, but he actually it felt like he meant what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wants her to do well, and it's in your heart and everything. Like I think he actually believes in stuff like that.
Maybe. You see Chavo's mad at Ray?
That was a work though. That's not. It's not
It was?
legit. Yeah, it was work. Yeah,
Oh.
it's
For
just
what?
Chato working. That's it.
Oh,
Say-
Chavo Guerrero.
Chavo. Yeah, Chavo. He was just working.
About what? For
He
what?
said it.
For what purpose?
Just to show that he could say something and people believe whatever he says.
Well, okay, that's weird.
It's just him messing with people. That's all.
So I'm going to go out and be like, hey, Johnny North, you're a dick. And I'm going to say that on Twitter. And then people will be like, what? But I'll tell you beforehand that I'm going to do it. Okay, John?
You better.
Yeah, John, tomorrow on Twitter, I'm going to say that you're a dick, okay? And then I'm going to go out and do it and then come back and be like, oh, it's a work. Well, to what purpose? To what purpose?
Just to rile people up. That's pretty
it's not
much
a work.
it.
Work involves money. Nonsense.
Wow. It's just him trying to, stir up things, and that's it. But,
Okay.
he loves Ray, though.
Yeah, because he was saying, oh, Ray's using the Guerrero name for profit. He should give us money. But that was not real. He didn't mean that. So why even say it? It's just a weird thing. What a bizarre... See, I thought Chavo was really mad because all I saw was the first one. I didn't see the whatever, the reply from Chavo saying, oh, this is not true. I didn't see any of that. So, as far as I know, unless I, bring it up to you there, I have no idea that Chavo's not really mad at Ray. So I think it's kind of counterproductive. Like, why do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, his weird sense of humor, possibly. Like I think, were you there when Chavo came down to Montreal one time?
No.
Like, I briefly met him for a little bit, and people told me he's a nice guy, kind of funny, was telling some stories and all that, but I didn't really interact with him too much. But I guess that's kind of his character. Like, he'll say things that are a little far fetched. I mean, wrestlers are like that too. They like to mess with you.
Okay.
I'm not messing with you right now, though. Don't worry.
All right. Better not. Don't mess with me. AJ Styles, Good Brothers, and the Michin came into the ring for a promo, and then the Viking Raiders and the Valhalla came out, and they had a bit of a brawl, and the Good Brothers took everybody out pretty good. And then next week it'll be Anderson and Gallows against the Viking Raiders on SmackDown. So they set that up. And I guess Karrion Kross, who's currently on SmackDown, hasn't been drafted to Raw yet, but will probably be drafted to Raw because he attacked Shinsuke Nakamura, who's been drafted to Raw. So, right, I guess they'll just move that feud over to Raw, which is convenient.
But before that, they'll wrestle on SmackDown.
Oh, will they next week?
Yep.
Oh, okay, so maybe Kross won't be drafted to Raw. Maybe they'll just be done with it.
Maybe I can see them just move it to both of them to Raw anyways. They do that too as well.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. But SmackDown, by the way, it's in Puerto Rico next week.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting, the setup of that.
Yeah. And of course, next Saturday is Backlash.
Backlash and UFC watch along at the same time.
Yeah. So we'll be doing the UFC watch along next Saturday, starting at 10 p.m. Eastern for UFC 288. And then when Backlash is over, Johnny will jump on the show and we'll have a big party and talk about Backlash. We'll do the Backlash post show while we're watching the UFC. Big show next Saturday night here on the Ringside Report Network. Main event of SmackDown tonight was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beating the Usos after the stunner and the Helluva kick on Jimmy Uso. 1, 2, 3. Sami gets the pin. Sami and Kevin retain the tag team titles. But leading up to this, we had a few promos with Paul Heyman and the Usos and Solo Sikoa. And Heyman seemed to be saying that Roman Reigns wants this match to be done, and if it's not done, then there's going to be some consequences. And it seemed like he was hinting that Solo would beat up the Usos if the Usos did not win. Right? That seemed to be what Heyman was saying. It never wound up happening. During the match, we go backstage during the main event. Heyman gets a phone call, and it's Roman Reigns who says, tonight is the night. And so Heyman tells Solo, okay, that's the phone call. You know what to do. Go to the ring. Solo goes to the ring, and he's going to do something. But during the match, you figure, well, why doesn't he just go and help the Usos win? That's what he's good for, no? Wouldn't he just do that?
You would think, yeah.
Right. But instead of being able to do that, he gets attacked by Matt Riddle, and Riddle and Solo kind of brawl away. And then the match goes on, and Kevin and Sammy win, and then after the match, Solo reappears and just kind of stands there looking upset. He didn't attack the Usos. At that point, you would think that he was supposed to attack the Usos because Roman said to do it if they didn't win, but I don't know. It didn't happen.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They still have the 6-man tag at Backlash.
Right.
So
Riddle, Sammy, Kevin against the Usos and Solo.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So
they're holding off. They're holding off. They're holding off, I think, on Solo turning on the Usos, I think.
Okay, they'll do it at Backlash?
I would think, yeah.
Should Solo turn on the Usos? Like, do we need to go there?
If Roman tells him to do it, thumbs down.
What do the Usos do as babyfaces, though? Challenge Roman in singles matches? Go up against Roman and Solo as a tag team? Like, is that what we're doing now? You break up the bloodline and then have them feud with each other for a while?
I think they're going to Raw. I don't think they're going to interact whatsoever.
What?
Yeah.
Well, what's the point of that?
Well, it separates them, and they'll do their own little thing.
What could they possibly do as a babyface tag team on Raw when Kevin and Sammy are the tag team champions and they're babyfaces and they've already lost to them twice? What could the Usos possibly do?
It's pretty much what the Street Profits do, but they're on SmackDown and the Usos are on Raw. It'd be something like that.
That sucks big time.
I think they might actually use the Usos in a different light. Like, they always talk about main event Jey Uso. I could see them pushing Jey for that World Heavyweight title, maybe.
Okay.
So we'll wait and see. Like, again, this draft isn't over yet. We can speculate all we want. Like, and we say, he's gonna turn on Uso's gonna turn on them, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
There's possibilities.
Well, they were teasing that tonight for sure. And usually when they start teasing these things, it's because they're going to do them, but, it'll take a while.
Milking.
Yeah. And Raw, honestly, was not much better. As far as a draft show for SmackDown, SmackDown was not great. Raw, also not too good this week.
Pretty bad. Except for the Cody versus Finn match. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Everything else was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. Cody and Finn did a promo to open up the show. And they set up the match for the main event.
The promo, though.
Not the main event.
Didn't love the promo.
No, the promo
it should have been the main event.
Yeah, I don't know why it wasn't.
You know why it wasn't?
Oh, yeah, because Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But it was the best match of the show for sure. Cody beating Finn after the Crossroads. Very good match. But other than that.
Oof. So a tough 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Really tough.
Usos and Solo beat the LWO in a 6-man tag. It was, whatever. Not terrible. Honestly, not bad,
Wasn't bad, but I mean, it just feels like, it's another whatever kind of match.
Yeah. There was Jey Uso, Sami Zayn interactions about the tag team titles and all of that, and their
The
match.
exact same thing they said on SmackDown. When they open up SmackDown, the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to turn on you. No, he's going to turn on you.
Yep.
Just repeat it again.
Yep. Well, if you didn't see Raw, let's do the same promo for you on SmackDown. Trish Stratus did a backstage interview. Talked about Becky Lynch. It was actually pretty good. I like Trish's. I like evil Trish.
It was all right, but it's like, okay, are you going to do anything else? Like, that was it. It's easy money, and that's fantastic for Trish. I mean, it's better to have Trish than not have Trish, but like, you got to do something else though. If Becky's not going to be around, no.
I think she just cuts promos. Maybe not every week, but maybe once every few weeks until Becky's ready to come back. What else are you going to do?
Well, I think it's kind of disappointing though, like the way things are going to work out this way, because Becky's going to be on Raw, so clearly Trish is going to be on Raw, right? I'm guessing
Mm-hmm.
the way that works out, and you're going to have Rhea as the champion. Like Bianca against Trish would have been very interesting, but now we're not going to get that.
You've already started this Trish and Becky thing. If you go into Trish and Bianca or Trish and, it gets complicated. Also, Trish could get hurt easily. So I think you kind of save her. You don't have her wrestle until she's in there with Becky.
I don't know about that. See, the way I'm looking at this is that Bianca's had this amazing title reign. It's lasted so long. Who can finally beat her? You got to bring in Trish to finally beat her. Trish is going to cheat and whatever to do it, but Trish will finally take her down. And then Trish versus Becky for the title. I think that's big. That's what they should do, but it's kind of ruined now because, Trish versus Rhea doesn't really work.
I think Trish beating Bianca for the belt will be going backwards. I don't think that's a good move.
We're already going backwards.
No, I think that's way back, though. I mean, come on. You don't need to have Trish Stratus beat Bianca Belair. Trish is not the one to do it. She does not need that. I don't know.
They don't have anyone else, so they have to go backwards.
I wouldn't go with Trish. I'd go with somebody else. Charlotte?
I'm talking about not going backwards. That's completely backwards.
Well, at least Charlotte is present day. Trish is like 1998, man. What are we talking about?
But at least with Trish, it hasn't been done in a while. It's like something it's what's old is new. Like if anything, Trish is like kind of a breath of fresh air right now because it's something different. It's like at least she's over with everybody.
I think people would have lost their minds. They would have been really mad if Trish would have beat Bianca. People would not have been in favor of that.
I don't think so. Honestly, I think people are kind of like fed up with Bianca. It's like, okay, you've had a good reign, but you're kind of going into that John Cena kind of reign of terror right now.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think people still like Bianca. Street Profits beat Shelton and Cedric on Raw. Pointless.
Well, apparently that match wasn't supposed to happen because there was like rewrites to Raw, right?
Yeah, Vince is not at the show, but he's got some sort of, he's FaceTiming Triple H constantly. He's involved in the show, and apparently he was changing things. I don't know. But yeah, that match was apparently not originally supposed to happen, and then they threw it on. I don't know why they did. Imagine what garbage they must have had instead of this. I mean, this is not a great replacement. So if you're going to put this on, Street Profits against Shelton and Cedric in a nothing match, they really must have had some trash instead of this that they decided to nix.
Well, apparently it was like another women's segment.
Okay. I guess they didn't like what they were going with. And then Triple H did his whole thing, the promo about the belt, showed off the new belt. And Bianca, Liv, and Raquel beat Damage Control in a 6-woman tag. That was clearly going to go in the babyface's direction. And it was not great. That match was not great.
Did Bianca need to win that match? Like, you're going into the pay-per-view, give you a little bit of momentum, but no. See, I'm talking about this John Cena reign of terror. It's creeping up here. Like, she's winning all these matches, and it's like, do you need to win the tag matches as well? You don't, but you still do.
Well, she can't take the fall.
Fine, but like, no, like she actually beat the person in the match. Well, she didn't beat Io at least, right?
She beat Bayley.
She beat Bayley. Yeah, the biggest star of the match on our team.
Yeah,
yes.
But again, like, you can't have Bianca lose, and it's hard to have Liv or Raquel lose at this stage in the game, fresh, trying to establish them as the new tag team title champions, you know? It's tough to have... That team had to win. Bianca, Liv, and Raquel, it's the champion and the tag team champions all on one side. They had to win.
The challenger can't get anything going.
Not in that match.
Wow. I think it's fair to say we know who's going to win a Backlash. Like,
yeah,
who they clearly favor. Like,
it'd be a big shock if Io beat Bianca. That'd be crazy.
Io's going to SmackDown. Like, it's definitely not happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. She's going... Well, Bianca's on SmackDown, too.
Right. Like, they're not going to switch the Raw title for Io, though. Like, she's not going to have the title and then switch it. Like, they're not going to do that.
No.
Bianca, of course, would do that 100%.
Well, it makes sense, though, right? She's the Raw champion. She's moving over to SmackDown. Why not just flip it? It would be pretty weird if the Raw champion was on SmackDown and the SmackDown champion was on Raw. Why would they even want to do that? Why? In a real world setting, if you are Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, and you are known as the Raw Women's Champion or the SmackDown Women's Champion, except you wrestle on the other show, wouldn't you just go to the other champion and be like, let's just switch? It's weird. You know? It just makes sense.
Well, like, the way I look at it, you won a championship. Like, I don't like the idea of switching title kind of thing. Like, if anything, maybe we just have one women's champion, but, you know, that's a hard thing to imagine, WWE, apparently.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's like, whatever. They're interchangeable. One's called Raw, one's called SmackDown. If you're on the show, you're the champion of the show. Doesn't really matter. Austin Theory is a champion of sorts. He's the U.S. champion. He did a promo in the ring with Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed attacked Bobby, and then Theory attacked Bobby, and Bronson hit a splash on Theory and a senton. Yeah, so that's a triple threat. I think they made that official this week. Austin Theory, Bronson Reed, and Bobby Lashley at Backlash. Official. Great. I think that's the only match they made official this week. Oh, no, of course, the other one. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest in a San Juan street fight. 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Not a tag match. Not Bad Bunny and Rey Mysterio versus Dominic and Damian Priest. Bad Bunny 1-on-1 with Damian Priest. Rey Mysterio beat Damian by disqualification in the main event of Raw when Damian Priest threw a chair at Rey. Priest then started attacking Rey after the match, but Bad Bunny showed up with a kendo stick and started beating on Damian Priest until he ran away, and then Bunny got on the mic and said he's not hosting Backlash anymore. He's coming to kick Priest's ass. And I thought Bad Bunny played that to perfection. Like, I thought the promo was really good. I thought when he came in with the kendo stick and he kind of gives that look like, okay, here we go. You know, because he knows, like, oh, this guy's a monster, but I've got a weapon, and, like, let's go for it. Like, the facial expressions, the way he sells it, the fire in the promo. Like, there's something to this Bad Bunny guy, man. He's got a lot of charisma. You can cut a promo. He's not bad. I'm a big fan of the Bunny. I think he's done very well. And again, in this moment on Raw, I thought he played it perfectly. Better than a lot of the wrestlers would. You know? Like, it was well done.
I'll give you credit on the fire without question. And I think his emotions got the best of him a little bit. Because if you look back on it now, they've edited that promo where he says like he's not hosting Backlash anymore because he is hosting Backlash still. he's just also wrestling.
Oh.
So I think he flubbed his line a little bit there when he said that. I think he was supposed to say, I'm not just hosting Backlash instead of I'm not hosting Backlash anymore.
Okay.
I think it was not just hosting, but again, you get emotional. Some things slip out or don't slip out. So I think that's what happened. But yeah, like good fire, good emotion. He needed that because you're facing a monster who I think should have won that main event of Raw if you're going into a big match. But you know, again, they're ways of thinking. I mean, whatever, because we all know Damian Priest isn't going to beat Bad Bunny. So why make him credible going into it? I mean, it's not even necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I just question, like, do you make this the main event? I could see them doing it, but I don't think it needs to be the main event.
I think Cody Brock is like the real main event, but I believe Damian Priest and Bad Bunny will go on last.
Yeah, probably. But I agree with you. I think Cody and Brock, in terms of the marquee, that's a bigger match. But I think they go for the mainstream, and Bad Bunny's a bigger thing.
I mean, look at the poster.
Well, there you go.
Proof
is in the poster right there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you make a poster like that and you don't put them in the main event. There's no Roman Reigns on this show. Bad Bunny is the biggest star on this card by far. What?
So Damian Priest looks like a statue in that poster.
Why? Because he's not moving? It's a picture, John.
Not moving, a very like robotic kind of way of looking. Like Bad Bunny, at least like it seems like he's got some emotion in his face. Priest just
that's
looks
how
like
Priest always looks. He's always got that.
It's a little unfair. Like he's got a little bit more emotion than that, but
does he? I'm Damian Priest. And I'm going to get you, Bad Bunny. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. Damian Priest. That weird way of talking.
You know, a tag match would have been better, but I think they just want to give more of the spotlight to Bad Bunny, so.
I think it'll be fun. It's a, street fight. A lot of weapons, a lot of gimmicks, a lot of nonsense. They'll have time to practice it. It'll be fine. I honestly think it'll be very good. I think you'll be surprised by how good it is and how much you enjoy it.
Oh. The expectations are extremely low, so
yeah,
it won't be too hard.
I think it's going to kick ass. I really do. You remember Bad Bunny in the ring? He was good.
Yeah, I also remember that he had like John Morrison that he's working with.
Yeah.
And I think John Morrison really helped a lot there. You need good workers too. Damian Priest is not bad, but like I don't know in terms of the style. Also in terms of the believability. Like with Morrison, like at least height wise wasn't so bad. Bad Bunny's still very small. And to believe that he's gonna get a lot of offense on Damian Priest, it's gonna take a lot.
Weapons.
Oh, we're gonna need a lot of weapons. Interference, everything, like tanks. We're gonna need a lot of stuff.
Tanks? You're gonna get Shotzi out there, John. Shotzi!
That's not a bad idea, to be honest, but they won't do that, though. They don't push her enough.
They don't push her enough, really. I'm surprised by that.
Well, for her to be in that kind of spot, like that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying
Oh,
that they
okay,
should
okay. I
push her.
thought you were like complaining about the lack of Shotzi on your TV. I was like, they don't push Shotzi enough? I don't know.
I mean, they should give her more opportunity than absolutely nothing, which is what we're getting now. But I don't know about pushing her all the way to the main event like that. That's pretty big. Well,
What happened to Lacey Evans? Is she okay?
that's the problem when you switch your gimmick around too much. You kind of just get lost, and I think that's what happened with her.
A lot of them
Remember,
are
we had
like,
this emotional story,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
suddenly it's like
But then she switched,
bow
and
down to
then
me.
she was
Yes.
a heel character, and then she kind of disappeared.
Yep.
Yep. Seth Rollins, your favorite, cut a promo in the ring about the new belt, and he says that the new belt will be about more than just politics and part-timers. And then Omos shows up with MVP because Seth is wrestling Omos at Backlash for no reason in particular. Seth tells Omos that he's going to make him famous, give him the match of his life, and then bounce his big head off the canvas, and then he leaves and laughs. This was not a great promo at all. I don't think the match will be very good. I don't know. Seth Rollins is not working for me.
Well, he says he can give him the match of his life. Let's see what he can do here. Like, he's a very good wrestler. Can he pull that off? Wait and see. To me, if he can pull it off, I mean, you should give him the title, I think.
I mean, what does the match of Omos's life really mean? He hasn't had that many great matches. Yeah, sorry. He hasn't had a single great match. Or even a match that was, like, very good. He's had a couple matches, the Braun Strowman match.
Yep.
And maybe the Brock Lesnar Mania match, but even that was not very good.
I didn't mind him and AJ as a tag team. I thought there were some moments there where it was like, hey, this is all right.
Yeah, it was all right when AJ Styles was in the ring and Omos was standing on the apron looking gigantic and doing nothing. Yeah, the match was good when AJ Styles was wrestling. Omos and Seth Rollins, another classic. I don't know. It's not something I need to see ever, and I don't really know why they're doing it. Unless, John, Omos is going to be the champion.
It's not impossible. They love putting giants as champions. I don't see it happening, but
If he
stranger
beats
things
Seth,
have happened. Sure.
like,
I don't think
if
he's going to beat
he
him, though.
would have beat Brock and he beat Seth, like, if he would have beat Brock at Mania, a lot of people would think, well, Omos is going to be the champion. You know?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I
and
can
if
see
he
that.
beats Seth at Backlash, people are going to start to think, well, maybe Omos.
Yep.
He won't, though. He won't even beat Seth. I mean, come on. Let's be real. Seth will
I don't
probably be
think
the
so.
champion.
But, I
Right?
mean, wait and see. Again, things haven't been settled yet in terms of the draft and what will happen with that.
By the way,
Will
John,
Moss be on what?
I just like how you struggle with the believability of Bad Bunny and his size compared to Damian Priest, yet you have no problems with Seth Rollins defeating giant-ass Omos. And I think the size difference is roughly the same between Bad Bunny, Damian Priest, and Seth Rollins and Omos. You know what I'm saying? Like, Omos is probably bigger compared to Seth than Damian is to Bunny.
Yeah, but at least Seth looks like an athlete, though, and is actually more or less an athlete.
Yeah, but
helps a bit, you know.
Talking about the believability of the size difference, like,
also
doesn't
Seth
really
has
make
beaten
sense.
Brock Lesnar.
Huh?
Seth beat Brock Lesnar. I mean, if you can beat Brock, I mean, you can beat anybody.
Of course, Seth Rollins beating Brock Lesnar, that's believable. Nobody beating Brock Lesnar in WWE is actually believable, but that's another story. Okay. So more stuff will happen on Raw Monday. WWE's getting sued for racism, basically. A writer is suing WWE for being wrongfully terminated because she objected to several racial stereotypes and lines being thrown into the shows. Notably, Apollo Crews developing a thick Nigerian accent out of nowhere and walking around with a spear on TV as his new gimmick.
That happened, yeah.
She thought that was possibly racist, which, I mean, no shit. I thought the same thing, and we said so on this show when it started happening. I was like, what the hell is this? Is this racist? It'd be definitely racist if I did the accent. I think if Apollo's doing it, it's borderline, but I don't know. I was thinking maybe racist, but definitely not fully appropriate. And also kind of dumb for him to be like an American dude who talks American, and then all of a sudden he's got this Nigerian accent that he put on. That's not how accents work. They tried to explain it. They tried to explain it, but it made no sense, you know? Like Lana all of a sudden just speaking normal. She has a Russian accent, and then the next day she's like fully American. What happened? But that happens all the time in pro wrestling. I don't know if it's necessarily... Like, here's the problem with suing the WWE for doing racist gimmicks. The WWE plays off stereotypes. And that's just kind of what pro wrestling does and has always done. And, like, I've heard a story about Dax from FTR, a story that he tells where Vince wanted them to kind of be more Southern and dumb and kind of, you know,
right,
be more like redneck type of thing and little, you know, and they're white guys, right? But they're from the South. They have a bit of a Southern accent. So Vince was like, you know, amp it up, pal. Right? So is that racist? You know what I'm saying? I think it's tough. I mean, I could be a lawyer for WWE right now because I'm doing a hell of a job defending them. Even though I think a lot of the shit they do is really bad. I mean, Vince said the N-word on TV, you know? I mean, come on, let's be real. I think this writer probably has some solid points, but I think in court it's going to be difficult to prove because, again, they play off these stereotypes. That's kind of what wrestling does, and everybody falls into it. You know, it's kind of how WWE works. However, they do, you know, they do employ like a guy like Michael Hayes, who's a top executive in the company and has been for decades now, who was suspended at one point 60 days by the company for saying the N-word in front of Mark Henry.
Yep.
And, you know, he's had some issues. Yet he's still in a position of power in the WWE. Imagine. And I thought at the time, like, maybe fire the guy. The guy said the N-word in front of a group of people, including Mark Henry, said it about, I mean, didn't call, he said, I'm more of an N-word than you are, Mark Henry. Ha 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 ha. And Mark Henry was like, what? And then Michael Hayes got suspended for 60 days. And then got to come back as Mark Henry's boss, in a way. You know, like, head of Smackdown writing or whatever he was at the time, you know, and he's still in charge of a lot of the creative stuff. Position of power in the WWE. So that's always been one that makes me wonder, like, what's going on there? How come that was allowed to happen? And, you know, I've heard other wrestlers kind of defend Michael Hayes, and that stuff, and, whatever. But I've seen things play out on WWE TV that make me go, ooh, okay. Vince thinking it was okay to say the N-word on TV in front of Booker T. I mean, not just in front of Booker T, but in front of the world. But, like, Booker had to stand there in the same segment and be like, tell me he didn't just say that. Play it off like a joke. And also Booker T, like, the whole build to his match with Triple H at WrestleMania always felt wrong to me. Always felt wrong. Flair telling him a guy like you can never be champion. You just carry the bags for the world champion. Like all sort. There was some Triple H. Was that Triple H who said that?
Triple H said that.
Yeah.
Triple H said that, yeah.
I mean, there was some undertones to those promos that felt wrong. And building up to it, I thought, okay, well, Triple H and Ric Flair are like the old racist guys, and Booker T is just going to kick their ass at WrestleMania and be champion. And we all know what happened there. Triple H won. And I was like, oh, that's not what should have happened. Because Triple H and Ric Flair, like, they went into some really bad territory, and in the end, they win. They don't get the comeuppance. That always felt wrong to me. And, Triple H in charge.
Funny how that works out.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying, like, the WWE is a racist company necessarily, but the fact that there was a lawsuit by one of the writers, an ex-writer, suing them for some racist bullshit did not surprise me in the least. Because as a serious observer of the WWE and pro wrestling, it's clear that there are some issues. They didn't have, like, an African-American WWE champion until, like, Kofi Kingston in 2018 or something, And The Rock, The Rock for sure. But his father, not African-American, African-Canadian. Don't get it twisted, okay? Rocky Johnson was from Nova Scotia. Rock is half Canadian. I will claim it forever. The Rock is half Canadian. You heard it here first. I don't know if people know that, but it's true. And also, I mean, he could pass as a non-African American guy because he's also half Samoan. And, if you look at him, you gotta go, okay, but, Kofi Kingston, you see him and he's clearly an African American guy. And actually African, he's born in Africa too. Grew up in the States. And it took a long time for the WWE to get an African American champion. And there was always the rumor that Vince McMahon Sr. said there'll never be a black champion as long as, I don't want that happening with my belt. Like, that was I don't know if that's true, but a lot of people have heard that rumor, right? You've heard that Vince Sr. didn't want, right? I don't know if it's true, but goddamn, pal. But then you also hear that Vince McMahon's personal hero is Martin Luther King, and he loves Martin Luther King, and they celebrate Martin Luther King as much as possible. So I don't know. But I'm not surprised that this is all going down. I don't think anything's going to happen. I don't think this lady will win her lawsuit. I think the WWE will squash it. It'll be whatever. Maybe she'll get paid off. I mean, Vince loves paying off women, so she'll probably be another one. Did I have sex with you? I just said racist shit. Here's $6 million.
Well, Vince wasn't the one who wrote this stuff, though. It was someone else, though.
Okay. Whatever. She's suing like everybody, right? She's suing several people in WWE.
Right.
And Vince ultimately, But yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, you've seen shit over the years. Crime Time. I mean, hell, even the Street Profits to a certain degree. The Street Profits is the name of their tag team. Really?
Yeah, throughout the years, there's definitely been a lot of questionable characters that they've introduced, questionable segments throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about it. I'm surprised like there hasn't been more like lawsuits against them because of this.
Yeah.
And I just feel like unless you get like some key like witnesses or testimony, like I don't know how far I could go though. That's the problem. Like if you could get like Mark Henry, Bianca Belair, and Apollo Crews to testify against WWE, that could make some noise. That's not going to happen though.
Nope.
So that's why I don't know if this is going to work out though, sadly.
When they decided to use Hogan again, right?
Right.
Now, I love Hogan. I'm not going to say whatever. Hogan is Hogan, whatever. But when they decided to use Hogan again, just as an example, they're like, well, Hogan said some racist shit, but it's been a while, so we're going to try and bring him back, right? That was the deal.
Uh-huh.
Let's make some money off Hulkamania again, brother, because, shit kind of blew over. So they bring Hogan back, and to allow him to be accepted backstage or whatever, they have him do this big apology in front of the talent and all the African-American wrestlers that they have, right?
Apparently that happened, yeah.
And some of them accepted the apology, and others were like, yeah, I don't know.
Because he joked about it. That was the problem. People didn't like that he was like jokingly saying it.
Sure. So the WWE brings Hogan back, has him do this apology that a lot of people are not really happy with, but it doesn't mean shit because he's still going to be on TV. Like, it's not like you guys all have to be cool with Hogan and then maybe we'll think about it. It's like, no, hey, pal, Hogan's back. He's going to say some shit to you so you're not so mad. And then we're going to put him on TV and pay him more than you. Damn it. Like, that's weird. Just a lot of little things over the years where you go, what? Why?
Well, I think they felt that was the way of like smoothing things over.
Right, but these guys, they don't have a choice. They're like, okay, we got to listen to Hogan, and then he's going to be on TV. And of course, when Hogan was the host of WrestleMania, who they have him co-host with? Titus O'Neil.
Right, yeah.
Look, pal, he's not racist. He's hanging out with Titus. Oh, cool. Speaking of racist, CM Punk was backstage at Raw in Chicago.
I don't know where that like goes together, but okay.
He's an anti-Semite. We all know CM Punk is an anti-Semite. The things he said about MJF, I'll never forget that Larry David's pajamas gimmick. I didn't like that line. And I think CM Punk is a secret anti-Semite. He hates Colt Cabana. How many Jewish friends does CM Punk have? Come on. Come on, CM Punk. I'm joking. I don't think he's an anti-Semite, but he might be. I'm not sure. But when he said MJF came out in that suit, the Hanukkah suit, and then CM Punk's like, oh, it looks like you're wearing Larry David's pajamas. Because what, Larry David is like prototypical Jew to you? Larry David would never wear a flamboyant outfit like that. It was a little bit off, John. I'm telling you. My radar went up and I went, the fuck was that? What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Punk?
Well,
I think he might be an anti-Semite is what I'm saying. I didn't like that comment. I didn't like it. He's got to be careful.
I mean, one of his first big insults when like a fan gets mad or something, he immediately calls them fat all the time. Like, does he have a problem with fat people? Like,
Maybe he does.
Maybe he does. Yeah, but does it get him canceled for that?
Well, I'm not fat. I'm Jewish, so I don't really care about that. I gotta be offended about my shit, John. Let's take it easy.
Well, there's a lot of people you've seen a lot of wrestling fans, so I'm sure that offended a lot of wrestling fans. But he still survived.
How dare you, John? So rude.
Wow, how is it rude? Like, you've seen wrestling fans, like, they're very large.
Not all of them, just some people. Some people are bigger than others, and some people are smaller than others. I don't think it's necessarily. You think especially wrestling fans? How dare you, John? That's your audience.
There's a good chunk.
There's a good chunk. Don't say chunk. John, it's your people. You're a baby. Well, you're a heel, I guess, when you wrestle, so you should say that stuff. But I'm a baby face of this show.
I'm being truthful. Wrestling Uncensored right here.
Wow. I'd say AEW fans are uglier than the average. I would say I don't know about size.
Wow.
I don't know about size, but I'm going to go directly at looks. I say if you look at an AEW audience compared to a WWE audience on TV, those AEW fans are ugly. Those some ugly ass people in the AEW audience. Let me tell you. Those some ugly looking dudes. Some sad. I mean, not everybody, but I'm just saying, a lot of time, I don't know, AEW's camera people are really bad at, like, panning in on the right guy, because they pan in on some people where you're like, maybe you don't want to have those guys as a representative of your fans, you know? Maybe you don't want to show those guys as, these are the people that come to the show, because, like, you know, they don't look that cool. They look kind of like, they smell bad, you know? Come on, John. You know what I'm saying. I'm speaking the truth now.
Sure, I guess. It may be somewhat. I don't know if I completely agree with that. I just feel WWE fans are more kids. So you're going to get more of a youthful kind of audience. Or their parents, pretty much.
Yeah, their moms. You're going to get some women in the audience. It's all dudes.
You get their dads, too.
It's all dudes at AEW shows. It's all dudes like us. Ugly dudes who are just wrestling nerds, you know? Just like us, John. Sad. I don't want to see myself in the audience. I want to see pretty people. Disgusting.
I know you always look for yourself in the audience, so that's not true at all, but whatever.
Well, if I'm in the audience.
Exactly. If you're at the show. Yeah.
Of course, I look for myself. I want to see myself. Who else would I want to see in the audience? Some ugly nerd? Oh, thank you. The only ugly nerd I want to see is me, baby. All right. CM Punk was backstage at Raw in Chicago. So Raw was in Chicago. CM Punk was in Tampa. So the story goes, he was in Tampa doing commentary for some MMA, and also apparently to meet with Chris Jericho.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
I think they had some sort of meeting, and apparently it went okay. So maybe
that's nice to know.
Maybe things are starting to get smoothed over with Punk and Jericho, which is nice because Punk is coming back to AEW soon.
Mm-hmm.
So Punk was on a flight from Tampa to Chicago, and lo and behold, a bunch of WWE people were on the same flight because a lot of them live in Tampa, and they were going to Chicago because Raw was in Chicago, and Punk was going to Chicago because that's where he lives. So apparently he met up with some people on the flight, and they said, we're doing Raw, come by, and he went.
Okay.
And he was backstage and apparently talked to some people, including Triple H and The Miz.
Not Seth, though.
Not Seth, I don't think. But he was talking to people, and at one point he was asked to leave, and the directive came down from Vince McMahon. When Vince was told that Punk was there, Vince said, "Get him out of the building, pal." And then he was kicked out, and Punk was cool with it, and he left. I think he understood. I mean, Punk is an AEW contracted talent. It could get a little bit weird. I don't know if WWE wants. I don't know if they want an AEW guy backstage at their show. I don't know.
Ricky Starks was at the Rumble. Like
Yep.
I didn't see like him get kicked out of that.
Andrade and Aleister Black were at the Hall of Fame with their wives.
Right.
Yeah.
I
But
don't know. Like
CM
he's
Punk
just
is a
hanging
different
out.
story, I guess.
Like I think this would be kind of not a big deal, but because it's Punk, it's a big deal, I guess,
Yeah.
Just because he brings a lot of attention and maybe WWE doesn't want that kind of attention.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, his status with AEW is kind of unclear at this point, right? So WWE might be a little bit worried that he's coming to talk business.
or
And
just
they can't get
it
into
creates
that.
too much. It creates too much confusion, possibly, or possibilities, and gets people talking, and they don't want that escalating, possibly, and then
I guess.
get into contract tampering and then legal issues. So,
Or maybe just Vince doesn't want him around because he's pissed.
well, maybe bad blood still.
Yeah, I could see that. But
Maybe some people don't like him still.
I
in
think,
WWE.
why do you think Punk went?
Well, I think he probably met somebody on the flight and they were talking about, oh, you should come down. And I was like, well, why not?
I
think
think
it just, it worked out.
Punk is on a tour of making nice. He's on a make nice tour.
Okay. That's
and
nice
he's
of him.
doing this
Doing that.
to show the Bucks and maybe Kenny, look, see, I can make peace with everybody. What's your problem? That is what I am feeling from this whole deal. He's making nice with Jericho. He's going back to WWE. He's being all friendly with Miz and Triple H. He's all buddy-buddy. He's all cool with everybody. So how come the Bucks have a big problem? This is PR. I think this is PR. And why do the Bucks have a problem? Because you attacked them for no reason, man. That's why they're pissed. The Bucks are still pissed because you attacked them and then threatened to sue them after you attacked them.
I believe they went into his locker room.
And then he attacked them. Just because I go into a room that you're in and I stand near you doesn't mean you get to attack me. There's a line there.
I believe he said in the post-media scrum, let's effing go. So, that was the invitation to, let's rumble, let's fight. And they showed up, so. Again, I had no problem with it back then. If they want to get into a fight with each other, go ahead.
He never said that. He said, you can come talk to me. He never said we can fight.
I believe his exact words was, let's effing go.
I don't know about that.
Well, you can check it back in.
Okay. But, I mean, I think Punk, to a certain extent, is doing PR by making nice with everybody.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's a game. But we'll see. I think the Bucks could just, get it over with, but I'm not sure they want to do business with Punk. We'll see. I hope they do, because that's the biggest money match they could possibly do in AEW. And it seems like Punk's coming back, so the problem is, if Punk comes back and they don't do that match, what are we doing?
Well, look, if it's not going to be with the Bucks, definitely Punk versus Omega is going to happen. So they should just get on board with it, to be honest.
I don't know if it's going to happen, definitely. Punk Omega, I don't know if that's clearly fine and good to go. I think Punk Jericho is going to happen.
You got Wembley coming up, and apparently they're doing All Out the week after. So you're going to need a lot of big matches in the span of just a couple of days. So they're going to need a lot of big matches.
Why are they doing that? They're doing 2 pay-per-views in 2 weeks?
Well, who's to say All In is a pay-per-view? I haven't seen anything that says that. It just says it's happening. And you would think it's a pay-per-view, but I haven't seen anywhere where it says it's a pay-per-view yet, so
Okay.
we'll have to wait and see on that one.
What you think it's going to be a TV show?
Or just, a cool house show, I guess.
What? No. It's going to be televised.
It better be. If you get 90,000 or close to it,
Yeah.
it better.
Come on. It's ridiculous. They would not televise that, John. They're not that stupid.
But they're doing a pay-per-view the week after? Like,
that sounds
that's
stupid.
a bit of a head.
Yeah,
that's a head scratcher.
Yep. Well, that's AEW for you. Dynamite this week. Orange Cassidy and Bandito opened up. It was not great. Seemed kind of confused a few times there.
It was a styles clash. I mean,
Yeah.
That's really what it was. Like, just didn't mix. I mean, they tried. There was a lot of things that just seemed kind of weird in that one. But the fans loved it, so I can complain about it, but it's over, so it doesn't matter. They're still going to go with it.
Yes. Thankfully over. It is over. As in it finished. And Orange and Bandito seem to be friends. After the match, they were friends.
Well, he tried to put the glasses on, and then he almost took his eye out. Then he had to take them off and put them back on. But yeah. They still were friends.
Yeah. So Jungle Boy and Darby are backstage, and Darby says maybe they went too far last week when they said some things, and he is disappointed that he couldn't help Jungle Boy last week when MJF helped Sammy Guevara beat Jungle Boy because Darby was in the rafters. He was too high up, and he couldn't come down and help Jungle, but he asked Jungle to have his back tonight and help him stop Sammy Guevara from screwing him, or MJF from helping Sammy screw him and win the match, right? And then we skip to the end with MJF and Sammy. We had Sammy beating Darby by disqualification. So MJF tossed a skateboard at Darby, right? The ref had his back turned. The ref was distracted by Ty Conti. Ty Guevara. Whatever. Ty's on the apron. MJF tosses a skateboard at Darby, who catches the skateboard. Sammy falls down, does the whole Eddie Guerrero fake hit thing. And then the referee sees this and is immediately fooled and disqualifies Darby, which apparently they do have disqualifications in AEW. So Sammy Guevara wins. And then because he's won, he wins the tournament of sorts and wins a title shot at Double or Nothing. And then MJF hits Darby with a skateboard after the match, and Jungle Boy comes out and saves the day. And MJF and Sammy celebrate, saying they're the main event now for Double or Nothing against each other, and Sammy's been given this big check from MJF, a lot of money to lose to him at Double or Nothing, so MJF will be champion forever. Tony Schiavone gets on the mic, though, and says, Sammy, you have won. You get a title shot. But next week on Dynamite, there's going to be a tag team match. And it'll be MJF and Sammy against Darby and Jungle Boy. And if Darby and Jungle Boy win, it'll be a fatal four-way at the pay-per-view. So, I mean, Darby and Jungle Boy have to win. Because otherwise you have a really dud main event that you've built up as Sammy Guevara's just going to lose to MJF. So you kind of have to have Darby and Sammy in this. Or Darby and Jungle. So it's going to be a four-way. We're going to get the four-way. We thought maybe they were going to go away from it, but they came back to it. It's kind of a long and winding road to this thing, but I think eventually we'll get there. And again, the way we're getting there is not great because now we have to sit through this tag team match where you know what's going to happen in the end. I don't like all this. The Sammy and MJF and all this, the Four Pillars tournament and this whole road to get to the four-way. I feel like we were already at the four-way, and then they're like, nah. And then they're like, trying to bring it back together. I feel like we were there, and then they tried to swerve us and throw us off the scent, and now they're bringing it back, and it's like, okay. We just do the match already. When is this pay-per-view? And it's still like 3 weeks away. Ugh. I guess they had to do something, right, to like drag it out and do a story or whatever, but god damn, man.
I believe it's actually a month away.
Oh, fuck. Like, it's not good, I don't like the way they've got to this four-way. And now we do a tag match, so if they win, they get a man. It's like, all right. Boring storytelling.
Honestly, I like the little things that they've added. Like, I don't know if you caught that part where MJF was in the van and he's like, "Oh, there's no room for you, Sammy." Like,
yeah,
and the van is empty.
Yeah,
and Sammy's like, "What the hell?" And then you probably didn't see the promo on Rampage that aired tonight, where Ty was just like, Sammy, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, you don't like MJF. Like, why are you doing this? Like, you're better than this. Like, why would you lay down for money? Like money for the title? That's stupid. Like, she just pretty much called him out, saying everything he's been doing with MJF is not him. Like,
okay,
he needs to like shape up.
Yeah.
So, I'm liking that actually, where it's like they're all like they kind of came together, but now they're all separating in a sense. And now Darby and Jungle Boy have to come together, and they have to work together in order to actually win that match. Though they have problems already going into this.
Yeah. And then they're all gonna, hate each other again when they do the four-way.
Maybe. With Darby and Jungle, I don't know, because like they already hated each other, but now they have to work together. Are they going to hate each other afterwards? I don't know about that.
Yeah, maybe not. I've lost interest in that. I don't know. All this kind of moving around and trying to swerve it, I don't love it. What else happened? Jeff Jarrett beat Dax Harwood. And then tonight you told me on Rampage, Jay Lethal beat the other FTR, Cash Wheeler. So they're doing Jeff and Jay getting the singles wins, and then the FTR, when they defend the tag belts, they'll obviously beat Jeff and Jay. So that's going on. Tony Khan had a big announcement, says the opening ceremonies of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. What is this, the Olympics? Opening ceremonies? The fuck is opening ceremonies? It's going to take place at Double or Nothing. And then the tournament will take place. The tournament will start at some point in Canada. And it'll all be in Canada. And the finals will be on July 15th in Calgary. Cool. They're doing the Owen Hart Cup tournament again. And at Double or Nothing, the next pay-per-view, they're going to do the opening ceremonies. What the fuck is that? Opening ceremonies.
Well, I imagine Martha will be there, more than likely. Maybe more of the family will be there.
Okay.
Well, I like Martha, so I'm not going to diss her like you like to diss her for a reason.
Well,
but
I'm not dissing her. I'm just saying she wore a weird hat last time we saw her. I was like, what was that hat? I'm just saying, maybe no hat next time.
I don't remember, but okay. I won't disagree with you on that one, but I think it's awesome to have the finals in Calgary. I think that's going to be an incredible moment to have the finals for Owen Hart. Like, just have an appreciation for Owen Hart in Calgary like that. That's a really good move by AEW.
Yeah, it's cool that it's in Calgary. I'm not a fan of this tournament. I think it just dragged last year. I hope they do it better this year. Last year, I really didn't like the tournament, and I don't have high hopes for it this year because last year was so awful. Wardlow beat a jobber guy. Another squash match for Wardlow for some reason. Arn Anderson cut a belligerent promo afterwards, and then Christian and Luchasaurus came out to kind of stare down Wardlow. Yeah.
That happened, yeah.
Belligerent
First
Arn
hour-
Anderson. I don't know. You like these Arn Anderson promos, but the more I see him talk, the more I'm like, what the fuck is this old man saying? And he looks just odd. I don't know. The red tracksuit wasn't doing him any favors.
I thought it was hilarious, the promo. I don't know what he was getting on about, but it was like...
Well, that's what I'm
it's like
saying.
he wanted Warlord...
Yeah, you think it's funny because it's bad, John. You're not laughing because he's doing comedy. You're laughing because you're like, what the fuck is this guy saying? It's nonsense.
It is nonsense, but I'm entertained by it, though. So I don't mind it. Like, there's something that he's going on about. I don't know quite yet what he's getting on about, but
It's
there's going to be a
nothing,
payoff
man.
to it.
What are you, Bray Wyatt over here? He's got something, but I don't know what it is. It's something. He's talking. It's garbage. It's no good. Adam Cole did a promo about Chris Jericho and what he did to him last week with Britt Baker. And he wants revenge. And Jericho appears on the big screen. And he's like, I don't want to be near a man like you, Adam Cole. A man who would allow the love of his life to get viciously beaten in front of him while you do nothing. Of course, Jericho, you handcuffed him, man, and you orchestrated that beating. But he's like, you're a despicable man, Adam Cole. I thought Jericho's promo was really funny. See, that was funny. That was a good promo. And then he said, get him, boys! And then the boys get him. Garcia, Magic, Parker, and Hager attack Cole. Orange Cassidy and Bandito try to make the save, but they got beat up. And then Roderick Strong shows up. No longer in WWE or NXT. He's now in AEW, former Undisputed Era member with Adam Cole. Shows up to save his buddy and take out the JAS. And I believe next week on Dynamite, it will be Cole, Strong, Orange, Bandito against Hager, Magic, Parker, and Garcia. So that's been set up. And of course, at Double or Nothing, we expect Adam Cole, Chris Jericho one-on-one. Or Adam Cole, Britt Baker versus Chris Jericho, Saraya?
Saraya, yeah. I can see that happening. Saraya's going to wrestle, I think, on Dynamite this week, so maybe we'll see something with that.
I would almost rather the tag match.
Yes and no.
I want to see Jericho and Saraya as a tag team. I think they would be a fun tag team.
But Adam Cole versus Jericho one-on-one, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. I think it'd be good too. It makes sense for the pay-per-view, but Saraya and Britt have been involved in this now,
It's a good point, yeah. True. But, I mean, that means you don't give Saraya the title shot then in Double or Nothing? Who gets the title shot?
Ruby?
I guess, okay.
They seem like they're going towards Ruby right now for the title shot.
Well, Saraya's going to wrestle on Dynamite, so are they building her up for the title shot or not?
Or does Britt just come out and who's Saraya wrestling?
I think it's Willow, Nightingale.
Yeah. Maybe they just set that up. Saraya wins and then Britt comes out and attacks. I think that's where we're going.
I mean, we'll wait and see. It depends with the direction they go with it. There's still a lot of time. A month left.
Jade Cargill beat Taya Valkyrie to retain the TBS title. Yeah.
Are we surprised? I don't think anyone was surprised by this.
No. The finish was not very good.
Well, we can get into that because there's a lot of problems with that whole out went down. But
I mean, the whole match was a little rough, but the finish was real bad. real bad. So Taya goes up for her finisher, which is the same finisher as Jade, right?
Yeah.
But Mark Sterling has arranged it so Taya can't do that finisher. It's illegal. She'll get disqualified if she does her own finisher for some reason.
Right.
And then...
that was stipulation for the match.
Yeah. So then she goes up for the finish, and the ref is like, no, don't do it. And then Jade gets dropped, slowly falls down, and does the slowest roll-up that Taya has to basically roll herself up into for the 1-2-3 finish. It was rough. It was awkward. Did not work. And then Taya attacked everybody, pushed Mark Sterling and Layla Gray, and went to hit Aubrey, the referee, with the finisher, but then dropped her when the other refs were like, no. So Taya's mad. I think Taya and Jade will wrestle again, maybe at the pay-per-view. I don't know. I kind of wish they wouldn't, though. Not a good match.
So here's the big problem with this. Like, I don't mind the whole idea of, like, the stipulation is put in place. You can't hit your finishing move, right? And I don't mind that it's out of reflex in a sense, right? Where you go for the finisher because that's what you always do. Problem is, she went for it already in the match prior to the finish. Like, she teased it, I think, near the beginning.
Did she really?
And
God damn,
yeah, she did. And they told her, like, hey, you can't hit it. And then she pulled off. So then they go back to it again. And it's like, are you trying to make yourself look like an idiot? Because that's exactly what it looked like. And then, yeah, everything looks slow, and that's bad too, but that's bad in a different way too.
Yeah.
Like, the worst thing is that you just made yourself look like a complete moron, because not once but twice you have to be reminded that you can't do that move in the same match. Like, it looked bad for her. And I don't know about you, like, in that match, it didn't look like Taya was trying to, like, put herself over anyway, like, show what she can do. It felt like she was just helping Jade. Jade looked okay in the match. Like, not the greatest match for Jade, but it looks like you've seen improvements from Jade. And I felt like Taya was trying to help her a lot, but helping her more than helping herself, where I felt like Taya didn't really show herself too well.
I don't know if Jade can take a lot of her offense, though.
Well, that's it. But that's too bad, because it's like, this is someone who can actually push her around and, like, throw her around. And we didn't see much of that. And it's like, this is your chance to, like, show everybody, like, not everyone has seen her wrestle yet in AEW. Not everyone watched her Rampage matches. This is their chance. And, like, in a sense, this is her debut. This was not the best debut.
Yeah, the match was not great. I was hoping for a little bit more. This was not good. I thought the main event was solid. Did AEW have a match of the night on Dynamite?
Oh yeah, like Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara was fantastic. Did you not enjoy that match?
No, that was all right.
That was
DQ finish.
great.
Like, I didn't love the finish there. The whole skateboard thing, I thought that was kind of weak. But yeah, the match was good. They did some cool stuff. It was all right.
Darby was bleeding. I don't think he was supposed to be bleeding that match.
Yeah. Well, Darby, he goes for the gusto.
Yeah.
Kenny and Konosuke Takeshita, Kenny Omega, beat the Butcher and the Blade after a knee from Takeshita. Danielson was on commentary and cut a promo after the match about Kenny Omega being an amateur and Takeshita having potential, which gets Claudio, Wheeler, and Moxley out to attack Kenny and Takeshita, and then they go to hit Kenny with the screwdriver in the face, but the Young Bucks show up and super kick everybody. Then the Bucks and Kenny set up Jon Moxley to get screwdrivered in the face, but then Bryan begs for Takeshita to stop it. So Takeshita jumps in the ring and tells Kenny, like, no, don't hit the screwdriver in Jon Moxley's face here. They'll take his eye out or kill him or whatever you're going to do. And then Wheeler and Claudio then get a moment to pull the Young Bucks out of the ring and start beating on them. Moxley then pushes Takeshita into Kenny. Kenny drops. And then the Blackpool Combat Club, they hold Takeshita's arms up in the air, and they're like, yeah, you're on our team now. You're with us. Don't join the Elite. They're garbage. But then Takeshita, like, puts his arm down, and he's like, no, I like you, Bryan, but I don't want to be in this team. And Bryan's like, you need to think about what you're doing, because if you're not with us, it could be a problem for you. And then immediately, Wheeler Utah just punches Takeshita in his balls, and Moxley grabs a screwdriver and just starts hammering Takeshita in the head with the screwdriver, and there's blood, and the show's over. That's just how it ended.
Yeah.
Okay. Screwdriver to Takeshita.
They're setting up blood and guts. That's what it looks like, it seems.
Yeah.
And also now we have a steel cage match, not next week, but the week after.
What's that now?
May 10th, Dynamite. We're going to have Kenny versus Jon Moxley in a steel cage.
Really?
That's what they announced on Rampage tonight, yeah.
Shit. That's pretty good.
In Detroit. I think it's going to be in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, May 10th is in Detroit. Kenny and Moxley in a cage?
It's going to happen.
That's money right there. That's a main event. Damn. Okay. I guess they'll do something off that. Keep it going. Do some big match at the pay-per-view. Isn't Blood and Guts just like a double cage?
Pretty much. War Games.
Do they do a cage match to set up a double cage match?
I mean, a steel cage match, it's just two guys in a single cage with each other, and that's it. Yeah. War Games is like two cages and one at a time kind of thing. You could definitely do it.
All right. Well, that's cool. That's a cool match for a couple of weeks on Dynamite. Anything else happening on Dynamite other than MJF and Sammy against Darby and Jungle, and then the 8-man tag, Cole, Strong, Cassidy, and Bandito against Hager, Magic, Angelo, and Daniel Garcia?
This is Saraya match.
Okay.
I feel there might be something else, but I'm forgetting it right now. The Hardy compound will happen on Rampage next week.
Right. Hardy's against the goons there.
The Firm.
The Firm. Yes. So firm. Okay, John. We are running out of time here. When is your next match? When can people see you?
So, May 7th, Club Soda, Loot Academy. That's where I start my journey to hopefully win it. And then go to Nightmare Factory. So it starts May 7th, Club Soda, 7 p.m. And you go to the Club Soda website to buy tickets now.
There you go. For more info, follow him on his Twitter at North Genesis, on his Instagram at Genesis Johnny North. You can follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Follow the channel on Rumble. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on all the things, on all the streams. Shout out to Harold Schneider. You're the Super Chat leader of the night. Thank you, Harold. Thank you to all the members checking in tonight. Harold, Derek, John, and so many more over at join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net. $5 a month. Support the Ringside Report Network. Keep us going strong here. We got a big weekend coming up next week We've got Ringside Report MMA coming up Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be previewing UFC 288. Then next Friday, Johnny North and I will be previewing WWE Backlash. And then on Saturday, we'll be watching Backlash. We'll be doing the watch-along of UFC 288 starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Time next Saturday, May the 6th. And then when Backlash is over, Johnny will join us, and we will do the Backlash post-show while we watch the UFC fights. It's going to be a big party coming up. Backlash and UFC 288 all in one night next Saturday. So we've got a big, big weekend coming up next week right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.